views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's hump day.
It's Wednesday after a city council meeting.
Council.
And was it ever a council meeting in its full form and pleasure?
a class on how not to follow proper parliamentary procedure.
Oh, not only that. I mean, there was so much more besides just that. It was ridiculous.
Fundamentally important. So
let's start with the public safety meeting. They were talking about how they're going to get more police into the department. The mayor said he's going to have X number of police officers, and guess what we found out last night? Take a guess, Chip.
We're not.
It was a lie.
Well,
it was a misrepresentation.
A misrepresentation of facts by a politician. What an amazing revelation.
Isn't that scary? I mean,
it's an amazing revelation.
I can't believe that. I can't believe that at all. But here's the biggest insult to injury. Do you remember those new police SUVs we bonded for?
That's right.
We don't have them.
Yes.
But the boy Emperor has his.
Yes, we get money and then we don't spend it, like the $200,000 for the roof from the CPA.
280.
It's
only 80,000.
What's 80,000 between friends?
Exactly.
In excess of $200,000, and by law, it's not supposed to be. That check's not supposed to be cut until the work's complete, and they cut the check and then it disappears. Now they need more money. And the cruisers, but who's got a cruiser, CJ?
Well, the problem is we have several cruisers which are down.
Yeah, but who's got one? Who's got a new cruiser?
The mayor.
Come on, there you go.
The mayor has a brand new one.
That's what I was waiting for.
Yep, he's got the party bus.
He's got a new police car.
He's got a new party bus. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Now here's the problem I'm having here with this, and correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. The mayor having a vehicle, which, by the way, when he proposed it, his canary, that, you know, the one that sits on the right shoulder and the one that sits on the left, said, oh no, it's for all the administrative staff to use, so they don't have to use their own vehicles to go back and forth to Boston or to go on trips. But when the boy Emperor wasn't in town last week, nobody could find the boy Emperor or the vehicle.
It was parked up at the airport.
It was probably parked at the airport.
Parked at the airport.
Right.
That is his own, and we all know another lie. Let's add that one to the score column here. Another lie, misrepresentation of fact. That's, you know, we can't. So you can't call politicians liars.
That's right.
They have all these euphemisms that you have to use when you talk to them, talk about them. You see, if you're just a regular guy and you tell an untruth, people say you're a liar. But if you're a politician, they say, well, you know, it's a misrepresentation of fact, you know, so because it makes it sound better. But they lie all the time. You know, that was supposed to be for community use, which is beyond me, because then how do we determine which one of the politicians get to use it? Do we have a priority list? And that doesn't make any sense. It's just a scam.
It's probably Camara, and Long that can use it anytime they want.
Exactly. The three musketeers on the council.
The three caballeros.
No relation, by the way, either one. So just to make that clarification, no relation. But you know, they represented this, as you said, it was going to be a thing to be used for outside travel, and which, like, we don't have vehicles. We always, you know, commissioned the vehicle to go somewhere, wherever we went in. But the fact is that he ended up with it, and he uses it full time.
Right,
and
exactly.
So, you know, that's the bottom line. The bottom line, another lie, and the worst part of this is that here we have police officers riding cruisers that are falling apart. We got some that that are out of commission right now because they're not running properly, and the mayor's riding around in a brand new police vehicle.
So people, remember that in September and November, when you go to the ballot box, remember, your mayor could care less about your public safety, because that's the message I'm taking away from the fact that he has a new vehicle, but our police department does not.
Yeah.
And they made an excuse that the dealer couldn't comply. You know, it's very interesting because I checked the state list and I made a phone call, and guess what? They'd have no problem complying within a couple of days.
Yeah, like auto dealerships are not used to these orders, and they look forward to it. They make a ton of
Right.
money on these things. When they're delivering a half a fleet or a fleet of cars, I mean, you know, they begin to salivate when they hear that.
Exactly.
You know, they'll get those things
But
ready
remember,
in a blink.
I'm trying to figure out how we're getting a Ford from a Hyundai dealership, because the mayor's party bus has a Hyundai dealership license plate bracket over it from Empire Hyundai. I didn't know they sold Fords.
Well, maybe they acted as an intermediary and then got a cut. Well, we all know how that goes.
Yeah, but you know what? We are supposed, if it doesn't go out to bid, we're supposed to use the state list, which has state-approved vendors, which do not need to bid.
Yeah, but we don't need to use that. That would actually be
Doing it the right way.
It would be too fair, and
Right.
it would be doing it the proper way, because I'm sure. Because remember, in Fall River, when you have an RFP, the person that they want to get the bid normally writes the RFP.
That's right.
So, you know, then again, you know, it's like, that's why we don't use the state list, because if you go onto the state list, you have to look at the list and and that's it, because you can't call somebody up and say, oh, by the way, you want to write up the RFP for yourself, and then we'll let everybody else pretend.
And they got to be from Providence, because remember, as Mark Dion said, revenue for Providence,
That's
RFP.
So-
Mark, you were great with that one. So again, we look at this in an election season, how this is happening. Now, I actually was a little bit surprised because a person made some comments on social media about how this mayor is doing such a great job. So I said, show me any objective results for anything he said. In other words, people, the stuff you can prove, that you can physically see and prove. Oh, well, he said, I don't want to know what he said. I want to know what you can prove. It was like listening to the budget proposal last night. It was like, we did this, and this is the first year we're going to do true zero-based budgeting. What the hell was last year then? A fairy tale?
It was almost true.
Almost true.
Almost true. Zero-based budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just gets to be ridiculous, you know, over and over and over again. But you have to say to yourself, is this truly what Fall River politics is now? You look at the city council, you have 3 people which do everything possible to obstruct anything the rest of the council's doing, and you have 6 people who do everything possible to obstruct what the other 3 are doing. It's a pissing match.
Yeah.
Bottom line, it's a pissing match.
Pretty obvious, especially last night when Joe Camara forgot what he was voting on, and he voted no, and then he remembered that a no vote was against the mayor, and he went, "Oh, wait a minute, I mean yes,
Yeah.
Okay, well, and then of course you don't even have to watch the result. You can just shut off the volume, because you know it's going to be 6-3, 6-3, 6-3.
Right.
Because the 3 amigos on the city council, if the mayor proposed to install 50 caliber machine guns at on the borders of the city, they would vote yes. So it's become, look, we see it in Washington now. We're seeing what's going on. Look, the reality is that Fall River is a microcosm, but it's a it's almost to the 10th degree in Fall River. We do everything even more not in the proper manner, because if you look at what's happening on all levels of government, the state, the pay raises and the deficits, and you look at the federal government, what's going on now, The reality is, we don't need Russia. We don't need Putin. We don't need anybody else to destroy this government. Our leaders are doing it themselves.
And they're doing a bang-up job.
Damn right. And you know something? Putin, we don't need Putin at all, because, you know, this partisan bickering, this just total inability to put the people and what is good for the people of this nation ahead of partisan politics and deal making, it's just gone. I mean, the country is just, it's wallowing. We're on the road. You know, this is like the Roman Empire. It's like when it began to fall, as Theodore Roosevelt said in one of his great speeches. He said the beginning of the fall of the Roman Empire was when the great Roman electorate stopped voting, and stopped voting the right way in their own best interest. And now we have this hedonistic society that all we're worried about, as long as we get what we want, or our pal is in office. There's no concern about doing the right thing for the majority of people. And it's very disturbing to see what is happening, because this country will, in the not too distant future, become a second-rate power. We'll still be a military power, but we're already on our way to being a second-rate economic power. China owns half the country, and you know, we owe everybody money, and only the rich get richer. We've virtually eliminated the middle class, and it's a sad commentary. We can't find money to send people to school. You know, there was a bill up in Boston to pay the first year of tuition. I think for people at community colleges.
Yes, as a matter of fact, Bristol Community College Phenom Group was supporting that.
Yeah, and of course our state legislators found it more important to give themselves a $35 million pay raise actually not a pay raise, because they got a pay raise too.
Yep.
But $35 million worth of stipends.
Word.
Yeah, stipends, and the hell with the education of the children, and you know, of the people in our nation, especially since the fact that we have eliminated any kind of job basically in this nation besides pizza delivery and Chinese food delivery. We've eliminated virtually any job that doesn't require at least an associate degree, because the only thing we have left that they can't export to Bangladesh or China or some other place where they can get it. Actually, when they were moving some of the plants, they said they're going to bring it to Mexico, where they're paying $3 an hour rather than $20 an hour like they pay Americans. You know, but the only thing we have left that we can't export are things that need actual education. You need to have a brain. You know, it's not
like healthcare.
It's not assembly line work. It's not work that you can put anybody in and train them in 15 minutes to do the job. And it's, you know, so that's what we have left in this nation for non-politicians to make a job, to get a job.
It's like healthcare, and healthcare requires
what is our
education.
state legislature doing? It's infinite wisdom. We know where their priorities are. Give me the money. They get their pay raises, and they tell the people, the hell with giving them a free year of college. Geez, you know, that might actually give some people incentive. They do well in college, they'll stay in college, and who knows, they might have a better life. But you know something? The hell with the bourgeoisie, the proletariat. The hell with those poor people. I say, let them eat cake.
And because Plorge is no longer around, it's not going to be good cake. But you know, citizens input last night, I wasn't even going to sign up for it.
But they pulled you back in.
They, you know, it's like everything else. You try to get away from it, and all of a sudden you get sucked right back in. So I did it on 2 issues, and I had my stopwatch going so I could cut it 1.5 minutes each. And I actually got 18 extra seconds. I was so excited.
Oh.
But you had Augie Venice come up and speak so highly about the proposed charter, which we all know how we both stand on that, voted down. And he said that, well, 5,000 to 6,000 people voted for a mayor, city council type government like we currently have. That doesn't even represent 1/9 of the registered voters. So how is that an overwhelming majority? That was my big argument. But here's the thing that kills me. I offered, and I said this last night, I offered the Charter Commission what's called a Type F Home Rule Charter. It actually happens to work in Worcester, Massachusetts.
And has for many, many years.
Exactly. And guess what? They didn't even discuss it. I sent it to all of them. And as I said at the city council meeting last night, it is amazing how many times I offer things and give them to you, and nobody ever addresses them. They never talk about them. But now, all of a sudden today, on local radio and in the coffee shops, they're talking about the fact that maybe that Type F charter, home rule charter, was the way to go. Because it is right. You would have, and I know you're not a big supporter of ward councilors, but you would have ward councilors, you'd have 4 at large, which gives you a grand total of 13. Oh, and by the way, the Charter Commissioner said, no, we can't do that because the city council hearing room isn't big enough for it. It would require modifications in the city council room.
Oh, too bad. But, well, CJ, that's absurd. Look, I am not in favor of a ward councilor with a strong mayor charter.
No.
I am, and I have been, and I think from our first show 4 or 5 years ago, I have always felt that the Worcester form, the Type F, is the best charter. Why? And I will tell you very quickly. They have a city manager, not a mayor. The mayor is a ceremonial position. And they get, last time I checked, he was getting $20,000 extra.
Correct.
And so it's a figurehead. So what you have fundamentally in Worcester is a man who is hired to run the finances of the city of Worcester. And that's a great thing. Think about this, people. You're not having a politician that's going to rob Peter to pay Paul and keep screwing up the finances just to look good for different groups. He's there strictly to run the show financially. And if he doesn't, you can him. There's no politics involved in Worcester. The city manager is a manager. If he doesn't manage, he goes. He's not a politician. He's paid to run the city and manage the city. It's not a political position. You have the political positions. You have the ceremonial mayor. You have the city council. It's like England. The Queen of England is a ceremonial position. So, you have the parliament running the government fundamentally, and you have the prime minister. So, the city manager is kind of the prime minister, and your city council is your House of Commons and House of Lords. So, but it's a good form of government. As a matter of fact, if you read most Massachusetts general laws, it will say in any city or town except Worcester. Because Worcester, because of its form of government, really has a lot of control, and it's done well. And so I'm in favor of it. We've been talking about this long before Councilor Camara started talking about it. And, that's the problem we have here. We do not want a government that is controlled by the people, because obviously a city manager is not, he's a manager. He's not a politician.
Right.
And it's a...
And that's exactly what
it's not like we're reinventing the wheel.
Right, and that's exactly what this new charter is doing. It's taking more power away from the people.
That's right.
And I can't support that. But, let's just get into this Worcester charter real quick so people understand it. It's one person from each of the wards. We have 9 wards. And to keep it an odd number of city councilors, you would either have to add 2 or 4. Most likely it will be 4. The way the ceremonious mayor is elected is, out of the 4 at-large councilors, at-large means from throughout the city in general, okay? Whoever gets the highest number of votes becomes the ceremonious mayor and also serves as the president of the city council. So you would have to serve as an at-large at-large city council candidate, not
Damn it.
for a ward.
Damn it, that takes all the politics out of the election of the president.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But
gee,
something that a
we
couple
have
of
that?
people had said was that this would also take the power away from these nonprofit neighborhood groups that they think they have, because they're basically grand PACs.
Yeah.
All right? And in turn, these candidates, these elected city councils from each ward, would represent their neighborhoods.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and every city council that currently sits, except now for Steve Camara, doesn't want to see a ward councilor. Why? Because the majority of them come from one ward. One ward. They'd all be competing against each other in that role, or they'd have to run it at large.
Well, like you said, it's a pretty good system with you can't. That's my problem. You can't have this because now you've got. It's bad enough the mayor kowtows to every neighborhood association stuff. If you have a ward councilor, they're only concerned about getting elected, and the only people they have to satisfy are the people in their own ward.
Exactly.
And so it makes it too easy to stay in forever, which I'm not a big fan of.
No, I'm not a big fan of that either.
But if you combine that with the city manager, therein lies the difference. The
Right.
difference is now that they are fundamentally a governmental structure that's running the city, because the finances of the city are basically separated. The city manager, for example, I'll give you a quick example. You know how much health care is a problem in the city of Fall River?
Always.
Now, even though it's not, but they make it a problem. But okay. I've been talking about the city of Worcester for a couple of years now with this administration. The city of Worcester saves millions of dollars a year by putting their prescription drug plans out for bid. It's a matter of record. As a matter of fact, Group Benefit Strategies, the company that the city hires to consult and fundamentally direct them in their health care, has admitted every single time Worcester's brought up and a question about Worcester is brought up, she admits they save literally millions of dollars every year going out for bid. Well, why haven't we gone out for bid? Well, they said now we're going to go out next year, but they also said that last year, and then they didn't do it, and they said, oh, we ran out of time, we can't do it. Now we're supposed to be able to do it. I'll believe it when I see it. But why can Worcester do it and we can't? Because in the city of Fall River, there are political considerations. In Worcester, the city manager is managing the city and is trying to get the city the best bang for its buck. The health
You swore, best bang for the buck, you swore. You're off the air.
The city of Fall River has to look at it in the context of, well, if we do that, we might not have enough money to switch over because we don't really fund everything anyway in healthcare. We kind of only fund 2/3 of what we're supposed to. And it's a slush fund. And they use it and they manipulate it. Where
Right.
the city manager's not manipulating, he's looking at managing the city and getting the most, and in every facet of that. And if he doesn't do it, he's gone. He's not he's not cutting ribbons. He's managing the city. He's got a very specific job. And, that's the thing. And this, the Charter Commission has come up with a charter that does the exact opposite of this. It takes away even more power from the people. It puts more power directly in the hands of the politicians, which is ridiculous.
Well, what makes me laugh is, they put percentages of how many people have to vote and what has to happen here and there.
Yeah.
But even their survey is based upon less than those percentages that you required, whether it be 10, 20, or 33 1/3, meaning a third. Because 1/3 of the registered voters is 15,000.
Yeah.
Okay? 10% is going to be, what, 4,500? Yeah, 4,500 plus or minus.
40, it fluctuates.
Right, because it fluctuates depending on who's registered to vote. So, granted, that's over that 4,500 mark if you have 5,000 or 6,000 people who answered it. But the problem is, number one, it wasn't a secure system. online, and I proved that because, Mike, I didn't tell you, just like I didn't tell any of the other charter commissioners, but I did tell one of them that I deliberately put probably about 1,000 different votes, and I scattered them across the answers for the charter survey, so I knew by virtue of that fact. And it's not hacked. It is not hacked. All I did was log in using what's called incognito window. That means that all your information is not saved. Therefore, it couldn't find out who I was because my IP address was different, everything was different. And anyone could do that, and I had to prove it deliberately.
And not only that, CJ, you're right. That he said 6,000 people voted. It could have been 25 people.
That's right.
Because of the way that system was set up, it was even the mail-in, the mail-out they had. I got one delivered. It had three forms in it.
Yeah.
I could have filled out the 3 forms myself. I could have got my neighbors. Hey, are you going to fill out that form? No, give it to me. And you
could pick them up throughout the city.
That's right. You could have went down and picked them up from the city and sent 25 different people in there, and 10 people could have sat there and put in 6,000, forms. I mean, that whole thing was a joke, and I actually mentioned it at one of the public inputs. I said that mail-in was totally it was a farce. The computer-driven aspect of that was as you said, unsupervised.
Yeah, it wasn't secure.
The mail-out was unsupervised. I mean, that doesn't tell you anything. For all we know, Mr. Viana could have filled out 2,000.
Right.
And he said 6,000 people wrote. As you said, you put in some. I mean, I got 3. I only filled 1 out, but I mean,
but
it was irrelevant.
The thing is that there's too many questions on what this charter commission did. And the biggest insult that was given to the people of Fall River was, and I will quote it, "We need to up the number of signatures required to run for office so we can vet viable candidates." You know what? It's not your job to vet viable candidates. It is the voters' job.
Exactly.
And as far as I'm concerned, 1 signature should be necessary. Your own.
And as irritated as you were about that, what irritated me more was as much, not because there were a lot of things in that charter that irritated
Oh, yeah.
me, but when they said from now on, all prospective charters will be reviewed by a committee elected by politicians fundamentally.
Appointed by politicians.
Appointed,
yes.
elected, appointed, whatever.
Yep.
Appointed by politicians, and then the city council determines. Now, so we take it again. We elected these people to make a charter for us, a charter that was representative of the people. And what they do is they take it and they're going to want us to vote yes for a charter that now says, from now on, you nitwits don't even get to tell us who we want on the commission. We're going to take that out of your hands and let a political hack appoint the people who are going to do it, and then we're going to have a bunch of other politicians involved in the process. There's not one word about the people being involved. It'll say,
Nope.
oh, the people elect these people. Well, suppose we get a council that is, rather than 3, we have 5. Then we're dead. This charter it's an insult, and it flies in the face of our very state and federal constitution.
And the bigger insult was the fact that they hired somebody else to do their job.
And most of it's copied from other charters.
Exactly. But that was the thing. They hired somebody else to do their job. And all they did was take the camera time. That was it. And you know what? That's getting elected to do nothing. Thank God they didn't get paid. Okay? Well, we'll see you on Friday. And I know right now a lot of you are saying, what's going on? Because I know Monday's show really generated a lot of response. You have a great day, and we'll see you Friday. Stay angry.